Hi guys, how you all doing? Welcome back to the channel. Just 3 days left of this summer transfer window, thank God for that. And it's all over and we can concentrate on the football. Right guys, loads to get into today. Huge news for Newcastle yesterday and today with the arrival of a striker. I'm going to get into that. I've got more information on potential arrivals and also some exclusive shots. Before I get into that, if you're new to the channel, coming towards the end of the window, please do subscribe, leave your comments on this video, give me a thumbs up if you want more of this transfer sort of stuff. Give me your thoughts in terms of how we can make it better, and then I can get a chance to look at these once we get past Tuesday. Anyway, I'm sure you're all aware, you would be crazy if you weren't. Nick Woltemade, I think that's how you say it, arrived on Tyneside last night to undergo a medical after Newcastle struck a deal with Stuttgart. £69 million. That's £65 million up front plus £4 million in add-ons, which represents a club record for Newcastle. This one came out of the blue. Newcastle only got it off the ground yesterday morning. In a matter of hours, the deal was struck. The player was desperate to come. I'm told he decided as soon as he heard that Newcastle were interested, he wanted to come. Personal terms agreed. I think he's on a pretty hefty wage, not too far off of what Alexander Isak was earning here at Newcastle, and he will come in and sign a long-term contract. All 6'6" of him, towering presence, looks like a real handful and someone who will light up the Premier League and someone who will really improve under Eddie Howe. So I'm stood here right now. It's lunchtime on Friday. He has undergone his medical this morning. He was up bright and early to do that medical. He's currently inside the stadium behind me, finalising his move, getting his photographs taken with his new shirt. I believe his squad number is 27. And he will be announced as a Newcastle signing later on. Now Newcastle were trying desperately to get him registered in time to play against Leeds tomorrow. I don't know the exact outcome of that yet, but Eddie Howe said this morning he thinks it's very unlikely that they would be able to get him registered in time. So unless there's a huge change on that, he will not be in the squad to play Leeds at Ellen Road tomorrow, which is a bit of a blow because I'm sure all you guys travelling down there to Leeds tomorrow would have liked to have seen him play. I think there's a chance he would have been thrown in at the deep end had they managed to get him registered, but it's just really tight with that 12 o'clock deadline and it's been and gone now. So I'll endeavour to find out. There's no point me talking about it because the time you watch this video we will have an answer on that. But yeah, so Woltemade in the building. Looks like, look, it's someone that Newcastle have liked for a while. Eddie Howe clearly has watched them, but it feels like they're taking a bit of a risk. Obviously they've tried with Ekitike and Sesko and João Pedro and Delap. All these players were to come in and essentially replace Alexander Isak and give him the opportunity to leave. None of them have worked, so that is why Isak has remained at the club throughout the whole summer. Still remains, but I have to say with the imminent arrival of Woltemade, I would, from my information, that tells me that Alexander Isak is a lot more likely to join Liverpool, and it opens the door for his exit. You've got to think of the figures here. £69 million. Newcastle don't have that lying down the back of the sofa to go and spend while they keep Isak as well. They just don't have that. The money they're spending on this is essentially the money that they're going to coin in from Liverpool for Alexander Isak. Now, while I think they're still trying to bring in another striker, and I think there's a good chance that Newcastle will bring in another, the two names that keep coming back to me and that I know they're remaining talks with are Johan Wissa, which I've mentioned multiple times on my channel, and also Jørgen Strand Larsen. Of course, Newcastle have had two offers for Wissa turned down, 25 and 40. I think it was 35 plus 5. It might have been 30 plus 5, I can't remember, but it was round about 35. And they've had two offers for Strand Larsen, 55 and 60, both turned down by Wolves. The two offers for Wissa, both turned down by Brentford, but Newcastle hoping to sign one of them. There's hope from Wissa that he'll get the move here. There's hope from Strand Larsen, he will get the move here. Both players want to sign for Newcastle and are desperate to play for them up front this season in the Champions League. However, their clubs are digging in. Wolves say they don't want to sell him, and that has always been their stance. However, it's important to see that they are trying to bring in a replacement, and they've got a player in for talks and I think for a medical at the moment. His name escapes me, but he was top scorer in the Belgian league with 20 goals or 18 goals last season. So that would suggest to me there may be an opening with that one. I wouldn't say that's dead. I know I tweeted last night saying the two players were too similar. That's not my understanding at this moment in time. Things changing day to day. I'm probably reading too wrong into things, but as I understand it, there's still a chance of Jørgen Strand Larsen happening, and there is still a chance of Johan Wissa happening. It's one or the other. If you're to ask me right now which one's more likely, I would probably say Strand Larsen, but if you'd asked me that question last night, I would have said Wissa. So things are changing all the time, and look, none of us knew about Nick Woltemade until yesterday afternoon. So look, things can come out of the last minute out of the pipeline, but look, brilliant recruitment from Newcastle yesterday to get that done, to like fool us all, bring him in last minute. These are the sorts of transfers we want to see. We hate these transfers now that are leaked out everywhere, and we talk about every itch and scratch, and by the time the deal's done, we're all bored of hearing of it. You know, there's a lot of transfer aggregators out there right now strangling the life out of every single piece of transfer news and every club's transfer. So it was so nice just to see that striker arrive last night. We'd only been speaking about him for a couple of hours. To see him arrive in Tyneside and Newcastle pushing to get the deal done quickly today, like really, that's how it used to be, that's how it was fun, and let's hope we've got more of those moving forward. But what I would say is Newcastle's second striker that they're trying to sign is less of a surprise. The two I've mentioned, Wissa and Strand Larsen, I think it'll be one of those two. It might be neither, and if it's neither, Newcastle have got a decision on Alexander Isak. Do they just go with Woltemade and allow Isak to go? I think there's a chance of that. They've got a decision to make. However, if Wissa arrives or Strand Larsen arrives, my understanding is the door is open for Isak to leave. Liverpool have to make an offer that's acceptable to Newcastle, of course, and the player wants to go. We know he wants to go, but I think Newcastle, and just listening to Eddie Howe's words again this morning at his news conference, I think Newcastle have kind of privately accepted now that the best thing to do would be to part ways with Alexander Isak, and I think his days here now are numbered. I would be surprised if Alexander Isak is a Newcastle United player beyond the end of this transfer window. I think Liverpool will come back in. How much will they come back in with? We wait to see. But you're not going to like hearing this, but it feels that Liverpool are in a position of strength now, because they'll know that Newcastle signing Woltemade and potentially one more, they need to sell Isak. So look, I don't think they'll come in with the same £110 million offer. I think they'll offer a bit more, but I don't think it's going to be the £150 million that Newcastle wanted. I think Newcastle are going to probably have to suck this one up and take a little bit less. How much? I'm not sure. I've been saying for months now, I would expect it to be 125, 130, something like that, which of course is still serious money. But I just think it'd be so difficult for Newcastle to get 150 now. I think it'd be ridiculously cheeky for Liverpool to come back in with 110. I think they'll add a bit onto it, and I think, you know, if Newcastle get the reinforcements in, it should be a fairly quick resolution to this horrendous saga that's dragged on for best part of 2 months now, and has destroyed the summer for most of us. I'm sure for you guys as fans, for me as a reporter covering every itch and scratch of it and every breath, honestly, it's been relentless, really relentless. It's been exhausting at times, and I'll be happy for some closure. I asked Eddie Howe at his news conference this morning, I said, how happy will you be between 1 and 100 that the transfer window is closed, and he said 101. Like, he's had it, he wants it done and wants to concentrate on the football. And just listening to his words in the press conference later on today, when he was saying that he's had to remove himself from the situation emotionally, and almost sort of saying that he not just accepts the club's decision, but he's had to take himself mentally away from the situation. And it almost felt in his words that there's an acceptance from his side that, you know, Isak's probably going to go now, and that's the first time we'd really heard Eddie Howe talk in that way. Until now, he's always said, I want to stay, I hope I can work it with him again, but he wasn't saying that. This morning was almost an acceptance in his voice that Alexander Isak is set to leave. And look, my understanding for the best part of a week now has been that if Newcastle get the replacements in, and even if they only get one, if they get one, there's a chance Alexander Isak goes. If you get two, Alexander Isak goes. Now obviously Liverpool need to make that offer, but look, they really want him, and I think they'll be fair enough with Newcastle, the way this is played out, to make a fair enough offer that Newcastle are going to accept. So let's wait and see. As I say, my feeling would be about 125, 130. The initial offer was 110 plus 7.5, so 117.5. Look, it's going to be a British transfer record. We know that. Newcastle, look, it's good business. and I think you've got two strikers who are going to come in, want to play for the club and give you two good options. I just think keeping Alexander Isak now, with everything that's going on, it just keeps the circus going into the season, and Eddie Howe does not want that at all. So look, I think it's good news you've got Woltemade in. Let's see what happens with Wissa Strand Larsen, and we'll take it from there. Okay guys, leave your comments below. Nice to see you all. Take care. Bye bye.